Hey everybody, David the AI Guide here. Welcome to another episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Also, click the link below, get your free AI resource. You will see in one of my interviews that's coming out soon that the person agrees with me that every single person watching this will need to learn how to use AI in their job in the very near future. So click that link, get the free resource, start learning what you will need to know to go to work within a few years. So today we're talking about self-driving again. That's been in an interview recently posted, and it's coming up a lot. There's a short coming out about one aspect of it, but one thing that the pandemic has caused is a global chip shortage, and that is because there was a dramatic increase in the number of computers being purchased as all the home offices were outfitted when everyone had to go remote. So between that and cars today have many chips in it. Even cars with zero self-driving capability have many chips in them. And we've seen that the supply chains for chips, most of which are manufactured in Asia, were heavily impacted. And in fact, as we know, with all the ships stacked up at the ports, that new cars have fallen in sales significantly because the car companies cannot get enough chips to build as many cars as there is currently a demand for. That in turn has driven up the price of used cars because new cars haven't been available. But this chip shortage is real. And there's a lot of talk and a lot of effort underway right now to what they call reshore chip making, meaning bringing it back from other countries around the world to the United States. Well, Qualcomm is jumping into that. Qualcomm Snapdragon chip is a system on a chip that will help provide GM's upcoming advanced driver assistance system with speedy data processing. So self-driving requires very powerful algorithms tied to many sensors to work. What kind of sensors? We're talking cameras, optical, we're talking radar, we're talking LiDAR, which is laser radar, a lot of different things, all hooked together allow a car to have a self-driving capability. So managing all those devices and processing an absolute flood of data from all these devices requires very powerful chips. And Qualcomm has been a leader in mobile phone chips for a long time, but now they announced with GM at the Consumer Electronics Show earlier this month, January 2022, that they are going to be making this chip to help the hands-free driver assist system called Ultra Cruise. So this again is perfection of freeway, fully autonomous driving. That's relatively simple and has been in active testing for a number of years now, since 2017, I believe, 2018 for sure. So we've got 3 or 4 years of big rigs and cars driving themselves on the freeway, of course, Tesla. But General Motors is the first company to use the Qualcomm Snapdragon Ride platform. And it includes what they are calling an AI accelerator. So the older chip technology is contributing to a shortage, and GM has been affected by this shortage. They're saying out of the CES show. But these other chips have 2 other very positive characteristics. One is they consume very little power compared to a conventional chip. So that's huge, especially in an automobile. But furthermore, they dissipate heat very well. which is a problem for chips, right? Chips, if they get hot, can fail. This happens to laptops every once in a while. Something can happen to the fan, the laptop gets overheated, and it blows out all the chips. So this is a breakthrough in car chip technology by Qualcomm, and it will be available in 2023, including Cadillacs and some other GM vehicles. They go on to say the processing power of Ultra Cruise is equivalent to several hundred high-end personal computers. So these are very, very powerful chips. And they go on to say that they're designed to meet automotive system safety standards with multiple redundancies. So they have to have that, right? If a chip fails, they have to have a backup to immediately fail over so that your autonomous vehicle doesn't run over a ton of people. So it says GM developed the Ultra Cruise capabilities in-house at its engineering facilities in Israel, the US, Ireland, and Canada. Like many things, this is a global effort now, as you can tell from what I just said. Sensor fusion of overlaying cameras, radar, and LiDAR provides reliable detection and classification of data. This is going to come out very, very quickly, and it's a huge upgrade compared to what has previously been on the market. So what does this all suggest? Well, there's been a bunch of limiting factors for full autonomy that have caused it to take much longer than expected. One of the biggest ones is computing power, right? For the reason I described, and which the article says. Putting this avalanche of data coming in from all these different kinds of sensors and processing it very, very quickly and instructing the car. We're talking fractions of a second needed here. That is not all that's been difficult. Building an algorithm that can anticipate the unexpected has also been a very significant challenge. But with the processing power problem solved by Qualcomm and others, there's a Mobileye, Intel's Mobileye system is probably equivalent to this Qualcomm system. That hurdle is being overcome. And then once it gets down to continuing to evolve the algorithm to where it will work under very, very challenging circumstances, then we will see the advent of full autonomy. But please keep in mind that just since I started the AI Guide a little less than 2 years ago, self-driving 2 years ago was at level 2. Self-driving now, see the short that is coming out right about this time, is now at level 4 autonomy. So basically in 2 years, it jumped from level 2 to level 4 with dramatic improvements in computer vision and sensors and corresponding improvements in processing power. So how long will it really take to get to full autonomy now? It's January of 2022. I still think 2025 is reasonable, given that like all exponential technologies, they improve at a faster and faster rate. It is reasonable, I think, to expect full autonomy by 2025. The final piece, once it's proven, will be regulatory, right? So that's one thing that I couldn't fit into the short, is that the German regulatory agencies have licensed level 4 autonomy. And that means it's hands-free. You have to sit there, you have to pay attention, you have to be ready to grab the wheel. But in all environments, it is ready to drive itself. So that is a huge step forward. Once Germany has licensed it, the Chinese, if they haven't already done so, will very quickly license it, and then it will go around the world, because this regulatory activity is being done based on UN standards that are going to be global. Why? Because cars are bought and sold globally. Brands are global. So global regulation needs to apply, and it turns out the UN has set global standards for approving different levels of autonomy. So this will happen. The regulatory framework is in place. The processing power is in place. Now it's just continuing to aggregate data and tweaking the algorithm, and we'll be at level 5. But clearly, we've gone from level 2 to level 4 autonomy in a couple of years. So that's big news. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to get my book on Amazon. The Beginner's Guide to AI is a very, very quick read, easy, 3 hours maybe to read the whole book, tops, and you will get a history of AI from the beginning, and then from there, how AI is already impacting 10 industries. And see the interviews coming out, because especially the third of 3 interviews that will be coming out shortly, I'm not going to tip my hand on who it is, but the third of 3 interviews coming out, the person has very clear comments that support what I've been telling you. The world is about to change dramatically. It's going to impact all professions, blue collar, white collar, everything. And now is the time to prepare. Click the link below, get your free AI resource. Start to learn it, because you're going to need it to do any job within a few years. Thanks. Bye.